Hello, students. Today we will continue with the Ode to the Nightingale, and I'll do the second stanza with you all today. At the end of the first stanza, we had seen how the nightingale had a mesmerizing effect on the poet, how it had sat among the shadows of the tree and sang effortlessly, and we saw how hypnotic that song was. It had a kind of an intoxicating effect on the poet, so much so that the poet had felt drowsy, but drowsy not because of the wine, but with pleasure at listening to the song of the nightingale. Now, in the second stanza, we see that the speaker longs. If you see the first line, it says, "Oh." Now, "oh" over here means a wish, a desire. Now, desire for what? Desire for a draught of vintage. Now, he expresses his wish over here for wine. And when he says vintage, now vintage means something that is very old, precious, of value and worth. Now must have heard of vintage cars. Vintage cars are kind of come under the category of antique, something that has a lot of value. Now, by vintage over here means vintage wine over here means wine that has been cooled in the cellars, kept in the cellars for a long period of time. So, and it is said that the older the wine, the better its taste. So here he wishes for a particular kind of wine, and that is vintage wine. And what kind of a wine he describes? That hath been cooled a long age in the deep delved earth. So he has a desire to have a particular kind of wine, and wine that had been kept under the earth, cooled under the earth for a long period of time, tasting of flora and the country green, dance and Provencal song and sunburnt mirth. So, here the speaker says that he would like to drink of a wine which is kept under the earth, and it would then be no surprise, because it has been kept under the earth for a long period of time, that it would taste like flowers. Flora means flowers, and country green means plants. And not only does he say that the earth's wine would taste like flowers, but he says it would also taste like what? Tasting of flora and the country green, dance and Provencal song and sunburnt mirth. So here he is specifically thinking and talking of one particular region, and that is Provencal. Now, Provencal is a region in the south of France which is known for its wine, which is known for its warm climate, sun, and also for its poetic songs, which were known as troubadour poetry. Troubadour, troubadour poetry. And these troubadour poets wrote poems mostly about love. So he's talking about France and a particular region in France, that is Provencal, which is known for wine and warmth and poem and poetry and love. So here he says that he wanted to taste wine which not only tasted like flowers, but it also tasted, he wanted to wanted to taste the happiness which comes with the singing and dancing and the mirth and the poetry and the love which was found in this particular region. Then he goes on to say that, oh, for a beaker full of the warm south. Again, oh, again a desire. He reiterates, he emphasizes his wish to have a beaker full, that is, a jug full of warm south. Now, here the poet is using a literary figure of speech known as synecdoche. Synecdoche, also known as synecdoche, which means when the whole represents a part or the part represents a whole. Now, here what is he doing? He is shrinking or he is reducing that whole of the south, beaker full of warm south. So the whole of south is reduced into a beaker. That is, he wants to drink of France, its warmth, its happiness, its singing, its dancing, its poetry, its love. He wants to drink all of that in a beaker of wine, and a wine which is from the Provencal region. And he says, full of the true, the blushful Hippocrene. Now, in Greek mythology, Hippocrene is the fountain of the Muses. And Muses were a group of 8 women who inspired the poets. Now he says, full of the blushful Hippocrene. He says, this fountain uh, bubbled up out of the earth where Pegasus was the famous flying horse and who was supposed to have dug his hoof into the ground from where this fountain had come up. So here he says he wishes to drink of that Hippocrene fountain and become drunk with it. Now, why of Hippocrene? Because Hippocrene was a fountain of the Muses. So he too, over here, through a mention of Hippocrene, wishes to write great poetry. He wishes to be drunk of that fountain and to write great poetry one day. And with beaded bubbles winking at the brim. Now he describes the water of the fountain. He says the liquid, the water from the Hippocrene is blushful. Blushful means kind of a reddish color. And he says this liquid is reddish, and reddish is the color of both the wine as well as the blush. So we beaded bubbles winking at the brim and purple stained mouth. And he says in delicious detail here, he describes the appearance of the wine, which has little bubbles that burst or wink at the brim of the beaker, as if inviting. Winking means as if inviting the speaker to partake of that wine. And when one drinks of that wine, it stains the mouth purple like any strong wine would do. So here he says that he wanted to have this wine and be drunk of it, and then what would he want to do? That I might drink and leave the world unseen. Now, in these lines, uh, are kind of have a kind of an autobiographical echo over here, because Keats in his personal life had some trials and tribulations. His brother Tom had died of tuberculosis, and his in his love life too he was disappointed. So there is a kind of an escapism here, because he says he would want to leave the world unseen and with the fade away into the forest dim. So, looking at the happiness of the bird, being inspired by it, he says he wants to partake of the alcohol, the oblivion of the alcohol, because it would make him forget his surroundings. And he wanted to just fade away, just leave this world uh, for some time, so that he can forget his trials and troubles and enjoy and be in the world of the bird, which is pure and full of joy and happiness.